How would you feel if I told you that this formula right here is worth trillions?
Internet, that anyone in the world with a computer and a modem to connect it to a telephone line can subscribe to.
In 1995, 3 years after the internet became public, people didn't really know what the internet was, how to use it, or even if it was any of use to them. On one particular day in 1995, history would change forever. A 22-year-old Larry Page and a 21-year-old Sergey Brin met for the first time at Stanford University. Larry and Sergey soon became good friends and began collaborating on a search engine called Backrub. They weren't the first to create a search engine, nor was it a new concept.
There was another search engine called Alta Vista, and at its time it was the world's most popular search engine.
There were a handful of them, and all of them sucked at finding the things that you were looking for. Backrub was missing one key thing. This formula skyrocketed Backrub into the stratosphere, and they later changed it to Google.com. Google owns 92% of global search market, while Bing owns only 3.43% in the year 2024. There are over 3.5 million searches a day. A lot of us just see the surface of Google. We use their online service and products like Google Search, Gmail, YouTube, Waze, Fitbit, and Google+. Do you guys remember Google+?
I don't know too much of their history, but I'll Google it later.
Oh man, I thought it was going to be the Facebook killer, but obviously Larry and I were wrong.
Put it down, Larry. I'm not coming back.
Google's self-driving cars and augmented reality glasses were cool, but very few people asked themselves the question, how big is Google and how did it get so big? Turn on your GPS and let's find out. Google is much bigger than you think. First, we'll look at some Google acquisition of the past, but then we'll look a bit deeper into some revolutionary things that the company has been doing over the past few months. In 2024, I'm surprised that people have not realized that Google owns Android. On the 17th of August, 2005, Google coughed up $50 million to acquire Android. Google wanted all their products to be on phones and PCs, but the OS for phones was not good enough at the time. We all know what Android is, and no doubt the best part of Android is its open source nature. This allowed the operating system to be on anything from $20 phones to cars to fridge to toasters. Android is everywhere. As of September 2023, Android has over 3.3 billion active users in more than 190 countries. Android makes up roughly 70% of all phones bought globally. Android has allowed access for countries such as China to really have a serious shot at the smartphone industry, such as Xiaomi. Let's move on. Google is obviously more than just Android. YouTube was acquired on the 10th of December 2006. Cost Google about $1.7 billion. I will do no justice to convey just how mind-blowing huge YouTube is.
I needed the bite.
You can see it on YouTube if you want.
Really? What, the YouTube?
Good job.
There is currently 3.9 billion videos on the platform, 826 million shorts alone. Take that into consideration. YouTube introduced shorts in late 2020. Looking at YouTube purely as a search engine, it's bigger than Bing, Yahoo, and Ask all combined. In fact, it's the largest search engine on the planet, second only to Google search itself. With 3.86 billion videos on YouTube, each averaging 12 minutes and 26 seconds, it would take more than 42 billion minutes in total to watch every video. That's equivalent to nearly 31 million days or 81,500 years of continuous viewing. And of course, as you watch this particular video on YouTube, those rates are increasing. I could go on with facts, but there's a lot more crazy stuff to cover in this video.
Since you weren't around,
Some of the project leads were having a meeting with Motorola.
Motorola Mobility acquired in May 2012 for $12.5 billion. Motorola Mobility was in trouble in the early 2000s, and Google used this opportunity to get themselves into the hardware side of the smartphone world.
Google has opened a new front in its battle with Apple for the smartphone and tablet market.
The smartphone war has just got more interesting. Google's now going to become a manufacturer.
This acquisition was one of their biggest chess move ever. Apple and Microsoft were suing Google at the time, so Google, in fear of losing Android, bought Motorola for its patent. More than 15,000 patents. Patents that Apple themselves were using. Google then sold Motorola to Lenovo, and Apple and Microsoft eventually dropped their case. If it wasn't for this acquisition, I think most likely everyone would have an iPhone in their hands. I'm just saying.
Wait, you have an iPhone? Aren't you homeless?
When was the last time you saw a display ad? Remember, Google is an advertisement company. Well, Google bought DoubleClick in 2007 for $3.1 billion. Google has been trying to expand its online advertising into display ads, which is where DoubleClick is strong. Google CEO Eric Schmidt said that the combination of the two companies will accelerate the adoption of Google's display advertisement advances. Google has made over $238 billion in ads revenue. That's 77% of their overall revenue of $305 billion in 2023. So as you can see, DoubleClick was a huge successful acquisition. Another very interesting project is Project Loon. Project Loon aims to provide internet service for 4 billion people that don't have internet. That's 4 billion people who cannot see ads. It aims to do this via balloons in the stratosphere. The balloons will float in the stratosphere about 20 miles or 32 kilometers above Earth's surface. The balloons will create an aerial wireless network with 3G speeds. It hopes that Project Loon will bring a low-cost way to get the rest of the world online. Sadly, the project was cut. Balloon-driven internet dwarfed to financial woes, a failure to attract more outside capital, and a sinkhole of skyrocketing cost. Now, I know I haven't mentioned all their acquisition, but a company with so much money had acquired too many for this video alone. So far, Google has acquired 256 companies with 21 AI startups in 2023. This multinational company owns about 232 companies with a total worth of $20.1 billion. If there's something Google can't do internally, they will purchase and integrate it into its operation. Google acquisitions have spanned industries like cybersecurity, social platforms, and advertisement.
You could go ahead and click the subscribe button